فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتساءلون قال قائل منهم إني كان لي قرين يقول أئنك لمن المصدقين أإذا متنا وكنا ترابا وعظاما أئنا لمدينون قال هل أنتم مطلعون فاطلع فرآه في سواء الجحيم قال تالله إن كدت لتردين لولا نعمة ربي لكنت من المحضرين أفما نحن بميتين إلا موتتنا الأولى وما نحن بمعذبين إن هذا لهو الفوز العظيم ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه آمين يا رب العالمين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Allah Azza wa Jal, when He describes that human beings were placed on this earth, He told that He put a lot of things here for us to enjoy and for us to benefit from, so we can become grateful to Him. He even complained that He put so many things here for us to live well with. وَجَعَلْنَا لَكُمْ فِيهَا مَعَيْشٍ. And then He said, قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. How little you show gratitude. But one of the realities of the Quran is that we were not sent to this earth to stay here forever. And there's another life that all of us have and when we start living that life, this life is going to feel like a day. Every problem we think about, the things that happened that were bad in the past, or we think about troubles that are coming ahead of us in the future that are stressing us out, anxiety, fear, concerns about all kinds of things. And yet when we come back before Allah, either if you lived for a week or you lived for 100 years, it wouldn't matter. All of it will feel like we just stayed here for a single day. And on top of all, Allah even describes this entire life of ours as la'ib. That is just a game, it is just a play. And the idea of play being that you are just entertaining yourself for a little bit, but the real thing, which is work, happens after the play is over. So the next life that you and I have to prepare for that. Allah made this life into a very tiny seed, but the actual tree that grows from it is the next life that's coming. And it's so easy for you and me to forget the next life. We don't think about it every day. We are thinking about work, we are thinking about health, we are thinking about money, we are thinking about our family relations, we are thinking about all of these things. And the things that we forget is the next life that's coming ahead of us. And if we did think about that, then all of the other things that we are dealing with, the way we think about them would change. Not that those things aren't important, your work is important, your health is important, your family is important, but the way you think about them and the way you and I deal with them and what we make them into a big deal. If we don't have the akhirah in our mind, then a small problem can feel like the biggest problem in the world. I'll give you an example just to put the things into perspective. So imagine somebody's like late for work and they can't find their socks. So for those 5 minutes, the socks are the biggest problem in the universe. And they have no idea that outside there's been news that there's a tsunami coming and 3 neighbors already had drowned and he's literally 5 to 6 minutes away from being drowned himself. If he doesn't look outside, the biggest problem is I can't find my socks. If he looks outside, he realizes it's a much bigger problem that will make you forget socks, food, or everything. Nothing else matters. Everything would disappear because there's something much bigger coming that would make you lose. You realize how pretty small these problems were compared to a much bigger problem. And it's not just about the problems. I'm not just reminding you and me of hellfire, but also of Jannah. So sometimes you work towards things in this life. We really hope we can accomplish something, and if we get it, we are gonna feel like we are successful. Man, if I just graduate, or I just get this job, or I just have this much money, we have a list in our heads of things we want to get or accomplish in this worldly sense, and we are looking towards that, and that's okay. But if you compare what you are going to get and what I'm going to get by working towards these things at the expense of losing sight of something so much bigger than Allah is offering, And what unfortunately happens is people think that either you want to be a person who take care of this life or the next life. That's not our religion. That's not our religion. Allah Azza wa Jal told us that Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana. We ask Allah to give us beautiful thing in this life and in the next life together. What that means is you pursue this life in a way that takes care of this life, while at the same time building your next life. You're doing two birds with one stone. And that's really what Allah Azza wa Jal has done. It's a profoundly beautiful religion that when you go and earn, for example, a halal income, that's an act of worship. Or when you take care of that family, or you take care of your family, that's an act of worship. Or when you're with your wife, it's an act of worship. Or when you're eating permissible food, that's an act of worship. So you're not just worshipping Allah when you're praying, but even when you're living your life within those guidelines, that's also a form of worship. That's also you and I building and investing in our next life. But what I wanted to do in this khutbah today is remind myself of a very powerful scene that Allah describes of Judgment Day. And actually this is after Judgment Day. This is at the point where some people who are inside hell, may Allah protect us from hell, and some people are inside heaven. So the decisions have already been made, and this scene is of someone who made it into heaven. So they're already in Jannah, and the party's begun, and they're being treated. And so فَأَقْبَلَ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ. They start meeting with each other. Hey, wow, you made it too. And they're hanging out with each other and asking each other questions. So how was it for? Man, Judgment Day. It was scary stuff, right? And they're having all kinds of conversations, not only about each other and asking about each other, but they're also having conversation about what they used to have the trouble back in this life. إِنَّ كُنَّ قَبْلُ فِي أَهْلِنَا مُشْفِقِينَ. In another surah, they're talking to each other, and they say, man, we used to have so much trouble in our family. Some of our loved ones give us such a hard time. We used to be so difficult, oh man. And they're having this conversation in heaven. So one of them, he looks around all of the familiar faces, and he says, قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ إِنِّي كَانَ لِي قَرِينٌ. One of them said, I used to have a friend. So he's remembering some friend of his from this life, but now he's in heavens. He's in heaven, and he's among new friends, and he's meeting with all kinds of people, but he still remembers this memory of his friend of his. Now the Arabic language has many words for friend. You have qareen, sadiq, hamim, rafiq, qalil. You have all these words for friends, but this particular word, qareen, so it comes from the word qarn. Actually comes from a rope that they used to tie between two camels. So if you see one, you would see the other one, guaranteed. While some Arabs used to use the word qaroon for the soul of a human being, because it's always attached to the body. So when this word is used for a friend, Allah is describing the kind of friend you've never seen alone. You're always with them. And it doesn't have to be your friend, by the way. It could be a spouse, it could be a family member, sibling. It could be someone that no matter what they are, they are chained to you, and you are chained to them. There's a kind of healthy or unhealthy codependency. You're always there with each other. And now this one of them is in heaven, and he's like I had a qareen. I had someone. I didn't go anywhere without going with him or her, and now they're not here. Where did they go? I don't see him here. So he would say, Inni kana li qareen. And so he remembers some of the conversation he used to have with this qareen back in this life. And he says, Yaqulu a'innaka laminal musaddiqeen. Do you seriously believe in this heaven and hell stuff? But even more, that the sometimes close friends or close to our relationship, they say, let's just do it, what's the big deal? What's the big deal in this thing? And one of them says, no, we have to fear Allah. It's not right. Allah will ask us about it. And the other person says, are you serious right now? And he would say, oh, you're like a believer, seriously. So we already, you have this kind of conversation with some of the friends. And can you not be religious right now? So he hears this kind of conversation, this kind of response. And he remembers those kinds of conversation. And he literally says, he used to say to me all these kind of stuffs. أَإِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُصَدِّقِينَ. أَإِذَا مِتْنَا وَكُنَّا تُرَابًا وَعِظَامًا أَإِنَّا لَمَدِينُونَ. Yes, I know we are going to be reduced to bones and decayed to dust. Then we are going to be raised again. God, I heard the whole khutbah about Judgment Day. Thank you very much. Don't tell me about this. I'm a Muslim too, and to see it from the other side of it is somebody who turned towards Allah. It happens among friends, it happens among married couples, that they are not religious before and one of them decides to turn back to God, turn back to Allah. And the other one doesn't understand what you are doing. And so he's reminding themselves of these difficult conversation that he used to have, and then he asked all these people that are sitting in this new company of Jannah, he says, Hal antum muttali'un? Would you like to find out what happened to him? Since nobody else cares, it's his friend, so people are busy in enjoying their Jannah. And so he asked Allah, Fattala'a. So he sought to find out. Now the thing about Jannah is that you get whatever you ask for. Whatever you ask, Allah will give it. وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ. You will have for yourself what you have, whatever you desire. So he desires what he wants to see his friend that he can't find, but to see his friend, Allah will have to show him a picture of hell. So Allah describes, فَرَاءَهُ فِي سَوَاءِ الْجَحِيمِ. It is as if a window is open in heaven, and he can look inside and he can see his friend, his qareen, this associate in the middle of hell, in the middle of roaring flame of hell. So here Jahim actually comes from Juhum, which is when the pupil of a lion dilate before it's about to eat you up. That's actually Juhum. And when the fire sees its prey, it gets exaggerated. That's when it's called Jahim. So he's looking at the roaring flame and he's seeing his friend, he or she, in the middle of it. Now this is a person you cared about your whole life. So you would imagine the moment you see them and would say, oh my God, can I help you? Can I get you out of there? But none of that happens. This person sees their friend and say, Qalat Allahi, I swear to God, I swear by Allah. And by the way, Tallahi is different from Wallahi. Tallahi is used when you're shocked or in extreme cases. And so he says, I swear to God, Inna kitta laturdin. It is as if you almost made me fall off the cliff too. Man, I came so close to sticking with you all the time that when you are going into the wrong direction, because I was tied to you with a rope, I was tempted to go with you. So just imagine if you are roped to somebody and they fall off the cliff, you're gonna get pulled with them. That's his first comment. Then he says, لَوْلَا نِعْمَةُ رَبِّي لَكُنْتُ مِنَ الْمُحْضَرِينَ. Had it not been for the luxury and the favor of Allah, I would have been among the group of people on Judgment Day that had to present their explanations. As Prophet ﷺ would describe in Sahih Bukhari, Hadith 6537, the person who would start getting interrogated on Judgment Day has been destroyed. So this guy is in heaven. He sees his friend and says, I was almost in the list of people who had to stand and explain themselves. Thank Allah, I was from those Allah went easy on, and He gave them an easy hisab. And then he doesn't want to see any more of that hell, even though he's in Jannah. But the shock of seeing hell, even for those few moments, was so powerful that this person, that he can't believe it. It's like they just got here and they say, Afama nahnu bimayyitin. We're really not gonna die anymore? Seriously, we're okay now? Illa mautatana al-ula wa ma nahnu bimu'adhibin. Except that first death we already had. No more torture, right? No more torture. So nobody talks like that in Jannah, do they? A few minutes ago he was hanging out with his friends, sharing drinks, asking about how life used to be. But when he got even a little glimpse of hell, all he can think about is getting out over the trauma of seeing what he just saw, even in heaven. And he's saying we are not gonna get punished anymore, right? Inna hadha lahuwal fawzul azim. Now listen to these words. This is the last part of the khutbah, and this person now in heaven, he says, Inna hadha lahuwal fawzul azim. This is the great success. He didn't call the drinks and the company and all the great stuff. He didn't call that success. You know what he called great success? Escaping a terrible friend who was leading him down a dark path. Not becoming of those who have to be presented and on Judgment Day have to explain themselves. That's the biggest success. Inna haza lahuwal fawzul azim. I wanted to share this with you because every one of us in this life have two kinds of Kareem. One kind of Kareem is the devil. It's the shaitan. It's the shaitan. We can't see him. He's there all the time. He's done PhD on you. He studies you. He knows when you are the weakest. He knows exactly what your temptations are like, and he knows exactly when to whisper to you when you are in your weakest moments. This guy is one devil assigned to you, is your Kareem your entire life. No psychologist has you figured out like this Kareem does. And his job is to push you down to do the wrong thing all the time. And when he succeeds, then on Judgment Day, he would say, I didn't make him do it. He was lost. I didn't make him do it. That's one kind of Kareem. But every one of us in this life also has Kareems, human Kareem. And they can be good or bad. That's up to us. Who did we decide to tie ourselves? That their opinion becomes our opinion. Because if you go listen to what Allah says, they'll get upset. That's the Kareem too. And that's the kind of Kareem that's helping you and me pushed off the cliff. And they may not even know it. They may not even realize it. And they are falling off the cliff too. And they don't see it. And when you open your eyes and say, hey, come on, let's wake up. We can't do this. They say, no, you shut your eyes and also let me sleep as well. Let's fall off the cliff together. You and I have to figure out who is that Kareem in our life. And we don't have to hate them. We don't just listen to them and say, yo bro, I just noticed that you are my Kareem bro, and I'm just not talking to you anymore. No, not just that. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that devil is the devil. Human beings aren't necessarily devils. They just don't realize they are playing that role. Maybe they are listening to their invisible Kareem so much that they are actually hypnotized. And your job is to lovingly try to pull them. And if you're not willing and they are not willing to budge, then you have to learn to cut that rope. You can't get dragged because we have to be the kind of people that make it into heaven. And I pray we don't have to ask about a Kareem who ended it up in hell. But if there was such a case, then we have to be able to say, to thank Allah to cut that rope before you jump off the cliff too. And this is the time to cut those ties, to fix those things. Not then. Find the courage to say what's wrong, even to the people that are closest to you, because you're too afraid of making them upset, and you end up disobeying Allah. As making them upset is okay, making Allah upset is not okay. Then who are we who would we truly fearing? How do we say that we fear no one but Allah? And to speak the truth, you don't have to say it in a hurtful way. But speaking the truth will hurt some people's feeling. Then that's okay, because their feelings are worth less to you, and Allah's pleasure is more worth to you. And by the way, maybe after some time their conscience will wake up. So we must have the courage to be the people of tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Those two things go hand in hand. So I pray Allah Azza wa Jal grants us good Kareem in this life, and Allah give us the strength to fight the Kareem, that is the devil that is alongside us our entire lives. And I pray Allah Azza wa Jal gives us good company of each other and makes us a source of strength for each other's faith and our good deeds. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-azim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. The recent devastating earthquakes which have hit the major parts of Turkey and Syria and has shaken the entire Muslim Ummah from its roots, it's rightly narrated in the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that the Muslim Ummah is like one body. That one part of the body feels pain, the entire body feels its effects. It's painful to witness that our Muslim brother and sister are going through this petrifying situation. The picture of Turkey today with buildings crumbled to dust, the flattened rubbles all over the streets, with thousands killed, make our utmost responsibility to stand with them either morally or financially. We should understand the urgency of the circumstances and support them in the best means possible. May Allah make it easy for the people in Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, and all the affected regions. May Allah have mercy on those who lost their lives under the rubble and grant them the status of martyrs. May Allah provide comfort and healing to those survivors. May the family of the victims be granted patience and fortitude in their time of loss. May Allah remove pain and sufferings of Muslim Ummah and guide Muslims with His guidance and bestow us immense blessings. Ameen. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجيب لكم ولذكر الله تعالى أعلى وأجل وأتم وأكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقيموا الصلاة